Right, perhaps just to inform you, because we did say we were expecting to speak to the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, but unfortunately Mr. Kwamanda hasn't yet joined our meeting, so we will, of course, as soon as he does come on, have that conversation with him, because as you know, as a regular viewer, we actually speak to mayors across the country every Friday, you know, about various issues within the various municipalities. So this in that series, but of course also quite naturally flowing from what happened in the city of Johannesburg this week.
Yeah, and very important questions that need to be asked. I mean, we you know, there's a history of this, and this is a problem that we're now sort of living through. One life has been lost. People were in hospital. It was devastating scenes that happened in the Johannesburg CBD. So, you know, were the checks and balances in place? What is the state? Did we know? I mean, when was the last study done? These are some of the questions I know you are sort of looking into.
But also, I think we've been way too blasé about our approach to what's happening in the city with various failures across time. If you take, for example, the issue of the Zamazamas, the illegal artisanal miners, and the sort of damage that has done, there are reports to that effect about, at some point it was said there was concern about the FNB Stadium, that sort of precinct, because of what happens around the Rivoli area and going further west. So what are we doing about all of these things? You know, a few weeks ago when we were talking about that earthquake, again, how much assessment has been done in terms of
the damage
where we are?
Absolutely.
Infrastructural damage. But I think we need to get away from the, you know, reactionary response to things, both us and of course those in leadership.
And that's probably one of the biggest problems, that we wait for things to happen and then suddenly there's the scramble to figure out what happened. Whereas if you know from before, and if you keep your infrastructure, and if you keep things in the way that they should be, we won't have this situation.
Do the basics.
But the basics are not being done. And it's not, we don't know what's happening under the ground, but we can see that the basics are not being kept above the ground. So we can only imagine what's going on below. I mean, let's go back to Nozintombi Miya, SK. I mean, you saw in the news, you know, we were sort of, Nozintombi was walking freely on that road. One side has been cornered off with barbed wire, the other side's wide open. Nozintombi, is it safe for you to be walking on that road? I mean, I'm pretty worried for you. Never mind all the other people, but I mean, talk to us. No security? Is there any presence whatsoever to try and keep people away from the area?
Yeah. You know, it is quite worrying though, Leanne, that, you know, several days after the blast and after yesterday's warnings and cautions from the Premier and all the authorities about how dangerous this area is and how they're still doing investigations and they're still not sure whether there could be further explosions. We still don't even know quite yet what the root cause of the actual explosion was. The safety issue still remains a factor. So even though we as the media are on the ground and we are here, it is also still a tricky issue. So the fact that the security and the cordoning off of the area is as lax as it is raises further issues. I mean, where we're standing right now, and just to show you, I mean, there is some level of police presence here, but with the number of people, just looking at the corner over here, just looking at the number of people that are literally walking past the street, which is one of the busiest streets in the CBD because it leads to the MTN Noord taxi rank. With this level of people coming through, if people decide to walk across the barbed wire, there's not really much that the police can do because there's just so few of them here. Again, Leanne, the issue of safety. We're going to try and walk towards where the people are coming from. I'm going to try and lead my camera colleague, Sia, towards that area. And you can see, I mean, just the state in which the CBD is so dank and dirty and destructive remains a problem all over again. Hi, sir. How are you? How's it going? We're going to try and get more people to speak to, but the problem again remains the lack of security. I mean, there's just a handful of Gauteng traffic police officers here trying to maintain some level of law and order. But I mean, you know, with a lot of variables still in the air, with a lot of factors still in the air, it's not really a safe situation. It's not really safe for people to be walking up and down the street. And you can see the people streaming up and down the street, just trying to get to their taxi, just trying to get to where they're going. Remains another factor, another level of a security issue here in the CBD. And some of the hawkers that we spoke to were concerned that they would not be able to ply their wares. And they want to know when the street is going to be open. And they want to know when the street is going to be made safe for people to start walking in and to start being able to interact in. And again, with so many factors up in the air, with so many variables still up in the air, it really does remain quite a dangerous situation for people to be in here, Leanne. So it's not really safe. We are still waiting for more information from Gauteng Premier as well as authorities to give us the way forward as to what will now happen with the cordoning off, with the safety and with the issue of what exactly the problem has been and was here in the city of Johannesburg. Leanne.
Thank you so much, Nozintombi Miya. They are reporter in the Joburg CBD. So quite a few things to take away from that. The mind totally boggles. Firstly, the city had indicated that there would be, those barricades would be supported by 250 JMPD members and an additional 50 private security members from the firm, which is the company. So from what we are seeing, from what Nozintombi just showed us, that is not
one car
happening.
No,
so she's talking about a handful of JMPD officers, and you can see that the barricades are not doing what they were intended to do. People are still moving around. There's just a free flow of people. And, you know, comparisons really, truly are odious. But if you think of what happened, you know, so tragically in Boksburg in December with that tanker explosion, and given that we still don't know what the cause of this particular explosion was, why is it that we are so lax about security?
It should
around
never be.
this?
The amount of people that are in that area and in that street, it is a compact city. So anything that happens, the tragedy could be of a massive proportion. And yet, like you say, we still don't know what the cause is. I mean, when we look at those visuals of this, there is a definite problem under the ground, and yet we still don't know why. That should be cordoned off. Yesterday was a different scene altogether. I mean, when we crossed into the town, and I mean, I know Nozintombi was trying to sneak through onto the road just to show us some visuals. The guys were, stop, do not go anywhere, they wouldn't allow us, chased us away. But the reality is that's how it should be. But today, taking a full walk down the street, looking at everything, the people are there, everybody's around. This is one day later, and still no firm solution. So does this tell you, what does this tell you? Does anybody really care?
This tells us that we are in a crisis. Not just, and again, I'm going to say this, it's not just the leaders, it is us as the citizens, the citizenry as well. We are equally problematic in this regard, because even when we are told, okay, here's a barricade, for your own safety, do you need someone to tell you, hey, there's a situation, a dangerous, potentially dangerous situation here, for your own safety, you know, perhaps just stay away from this area. I mean, can't we think for ourselves?
Sometimes not. All right, okay. So listen, the Johannesburg mayor unfortunately let us down. We were hoping to speak to him, but that's not going to happen this morning. It doesn't look like it.